My name is Joe Peroni, and this is the Rise Above Project. And I've been thinking about doing this show now for about 2 weeks. And I've been thinking about it as I've been training Lily the pug and also taking her for walks. So I've got an analogy for you today. So I want to contrast and compare what it's like to teach Lily and take her for walks and compare that to how a lot of people raise their children these days and how we deal with dysfunctional adults. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to do the whole show like this. So I'm going to put her down for a little bit. I'll be right back. Okay, so here's the comparison. How to raise Lily and how to teach her to be good on going for walks every day, on how we raise our children and how we deal with dysfunctional adults. Keeping in mind that the average person these days, they seem to be very undisciplined, they have low self-esteem, they don't have a lot of drive, they seem to be bored, low self-esteem, depressed, and anxious. Now, the goal when I'm walking with Lily is to make sure that she's disciplined, that she becomes a confident dog, and of course that she has a good time and she's going to be exercising. Now, keep in mind she also plays with her other dog friends, and this helps along with her development as well, which is also something that we seem not to be doing with kids these days. Parents seem to be so coddling their children that they're afraid to let them go outside and play, play in the street, deal with other kids, learn how to compromise, learn how to play, learn how to share, and sometimes get into fights and learn how to deal with that. So again, with all of that coddling, we're raising kids that don't know how to deal with the real world. So I want to compare this to, again, how I'm raising Lily. So this is the start of it. Lily knows how to run upstairs. Unfortunately, she's been having a lot of difficulty coming down the stairs, but she's food motivated. So if you put some food at the bottom of the stairs and put a leash on her, which is actually a vest, she feels some safety and some comfort. So then you can walk her down the stairs. And eventually now she sprints down the stairs. No problem. That's the first part. Then when we get her outside to walk, it's quite the trick because she pulls on the leash too much. She can't walk in a straight line. She's all over the place. She stops all the time to smell everything, right? Everything's new because she's only like 6 months old. She tries to eat pine cones and she's extremely frightened of cars. And she's frightened of other dogs. At least that's the way it started. So this is how I walk her. We go in a straight line. If she pulls on the leash too much, there's a consequence. I stop. And then eventually she'll stop pulling on the leash. We continue. As we continue, of course, she's all over the place. So she'll go left and right, left and right. But I don't let her do that. I gently keep walking forward. Eventually what happens is, instead of waving this far back and forth, she goes this far. And then about a mile in, she concentrates and she walks straight ahead. Now sometimes she stops because she wants to eat something or smell something. And again, a little gentle pull, and she continues. And once we start to know, he or she realizes that I'm the alpha, I'm the leader, she will walk in a straight line perfectly. Takes a little while, but it happens. Now the other part is cars are really big and they're really loud, for her especially. So she gets scared, so she gets really jumpy. But here's the thing, do we stop? No, Do we just pick her up and take her away from that? No, there's always going to be cars. So we continue to walk. And as it's been happening, she's not really afraid of cars anymore either. I mean, she's not going to chase a car, but she knows that a car going down the street is not a threat. The other thing is other dogs. In the beginning, she was really a little bit afraid of other dogs. But again, being the role model, if you have confidence and not anxiety, it transfers to her. So what happens here is that she has a lot of confidence now. She walks straight past the dogs. Now, I used to have a dog, Lola, the pug, and she wouldn't care if there was a Saint Bernard and a German Shepherd walking the other way. She would put her head straight and walk straight past. She was fully confident. Pugs, dogs in general, are not born this way. They're trained into it by good owners. Same thing with children. They come into this world with the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Everything else that they're anxious of, they've learned. And 99% of it they learn from their parents. So let's move on here on the comparison between Lily and how we raise kids and deal with dysfunctional adults. Keeping in mind, once again, that the goal here is to teach discipline and confidence. Now, so what's number one on the list, I would say? It's number one, being a good role model. You can't expect to be respected by your children, by your peers, by anyone if you don't earn respect. So that's number one. You can't teach exercise if you don't exercise yourself. You can't teach discipline if you're not a disciplined person. You can't teach laser-like focus if you live a life of distraction. And you can't teach confidence if you're anxious all the time and you need drugs to get through your day. Basic stuff, right? You can't teach a kid to get off the couch if that's where you spend all your time. You can't teach a kid or an adult, or a young adult for that matter, to be a go-getter in life if you're not constantly seeking to make more money, to seek more education, to seek more social interactions. So with Lily, I'm teaching her not to be afraid of everything. She's developing confidence. She's developing discipline. So number two on the list, know the difference between empowerment and enabling. Enabling has two parts. The first part, allowing bad behavior to continue. I see this all the time. We can see this in adult relationships where somebody has a partner that's doing every bad thing under the sun, drinking too much, doing too much drugs, and they look the other way. I see this with kids all the time. You can't always blame the kid. They're going to do with whatever they can get away with. It's the parents that set the tone. So again, enabling is when you allow bad behavior to continue. Number two, it's doing something for someone when they can do it themselves. And here's another thing. It's the way I'm teaching Lily to walk. If she pulls on the leash too much, this is not something that I have to say, forget and we'll never walk again. No, we gently teach her to do it. If she's afraid of other dogs and afraid of cars, we don't just pick her up and coddle her to death. What you do is you confidently walk past. And here, this is more towards the thought of exposure therapy. All these kids today that are experiencing anxiety and depression, it's because their parents aren't pushing them to do the things that are difficult in life and they're letting them get away with stuff. Living the most comfortable life ever is a pathway to disaster. And it's been shown that. Kids like this have no direction. They say they're bored all the time. And it's actually correlated to suicidal ideations. Enabling children or anybody doing things for them that they can do for themselves. It's not nice, it's not loving, and it's not caring. Because you hear this all the time. I'm such a nice person. I don't want my kid to feel any pain. I don't want my kid to feel sad or be angry with me. I might feel guilty about their emotions. So I'm just a very nice parent. I'm a good parent. I'm a good spouse. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're neglectful and you're abusive. Because eventually these people, either they already are in the real world or they're going to be growing up and being in the real world. And if you don't take care of business now, the state ends up taking care of that business for you. Let's talk about empowering. Empowering is when you teach and you support someone to learn and to grow. Let's look at what is done with Lily. She's afraid to walk down the stairs. Does that mean I carry her down the stairs all the time for the rest of her life? She would like that. But no, she's food motivated. So there's a reward. She likes that reward. And then you comfortably and with safety and security for her, allow her to come down the stairs on her own. Now you can't get her to stop. She runs up and down the stairs all day long. But again, when we're dealing with kids, we end up basically cutting them at the knees because we don't allow them to make mistakes. What if, again, she's afraid of cars, she's afraid of things, she wants to eat pine cones along the way, right? And I want to enable her. What do? Do I stop every 30 seconds so she can sit there and we actually never go on a walk? No, we don't do that. We empower her. She's got 4 legs, she can walk, she can run, she's got a lot of energy. So we put her in a position where she can succeed. And she does. Most of the kids I see today do not succeed. Let's talk about number 3. We need strict, consistent rules, goals, and boundaries with rewards and punishments. Real simple. Any deviation from that with a parent or even an adult thinking, well, goals, rules, and boundaries, that's too much. It's annoying. It's a burden on my time. I can't do that. Well, you can do that, but it leads to infantilization, meaning that if you have a child, eventually they're going to be 35 years old and they're still going to be a child. You're going to get a phone call every day. Mom, Dad, I need money. Probably not. You're going to get a text because they're still living in one of your bedrooms or your basement. That's what you're going to get because they stay a child. They don't know what it's like to push through something and to grow and to get better. Now with Lily, listen, she's a small dog. She's only 6 months old. She's about her full weight. She's like 14 pounds. Am I going to be so afraid that I don't let her outside? That she can never go to the park? That's not true. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to keep her a puppy her whole life. You know, she deserves to go out and have fun. As a matter of fact, she play fights with an 80-pound chow pretty much every day. Not as much him, but my pit bull retriever mix is about 65, 70 pounds, and they play all day long. She's not afraid of him at all. So again, with a child, we keep them children. With her, I'm trying to, again, teach discipline and confidence and be able to play and have a good time. If you don't have rules with consequences, it also creates a situation where the child is entitled and they become adults who are entitled. It breeds narcissism. It's also correlated to mood and personality disorders. So we can look forward to all of those problems if you refuse to discipline your children or hold adults to high standards. If you're not sure what toxic enabling is, here's some thoughts about that. If you find yourself justifying somebody's bad behavior. Here's an example. Something happens at school. When I was a kid, my parents knew I was the one at fault. I would be the one that has to correct the behavior. These days, parents are calling the teacher saying, You're wrong, you need to do something. And teachers these days, because they don't have spines probably, or whatever reason, they want to keep their jobs, they just kind of go along with the program. Johnny hasn't passed a test in 6 months, let's just graduate him anyway. These are the things that happen. Johnny hasn't been socializing in any area of school, recess, sports, whatever. It's okay, no problem, no issues. I don't have to deal with it, let's just push him through. Society these days is letting people get away with this, much to our detriment and everybody's detriment. If you're a parent who feels guilty about your child's emotions, what you're doing is you're trading in your emotions. I don't want to feel temporarily guilty, but yet I'm going to destroy my kid probably for their whole life. So again, that's toxic enabling. You're allowing it to happen because you don't want to face the tough emotions today, yet you're hurting your kid for the long run. Toxic enabling also has to do with people who don't want to hold people to account. And the reason for this is it takes more time and energy, and it might actually cost you something. I've had clients in the past where somebody knew that there was some type of sexual abuse going on in the household, and somebody would keep it secret or act like it didn't happen. Why? Because if they held their spouse to account, it might break up the family, and then there might be some financial difficulties. But what's the collateral damage? Sexual abuse on the child? I've seen that happen too. So again, it's all part of the toxic enabling. So again, let's go back to the beginning real quick and I'll finish up the show. So what I'm trying to do here is not trigger people too much. I want to compare how I'm raising Lily the pug and how to teach her to walk down the stairs and how to go for a nice walk and how she can be disciplined and confident. Compare that to how most people are raising children these days and how we're also dealing with a lot of adults these days. And again, if you want to do it the correct way, you want to be a role model. Again, you can't teach things to kids if you're not doing it yourself. Let's say we're talking about virtues and values. Some virtues and values are, let's say you want your child to speak in a respectful way. If you want your child to be speaking in a respectful way, you can't be using profanity every other word in the household and then tell the child that he needs to clean up his language. Knowing that eating good food and having a nutritious diet helps you mentally and physically, knowing it, is that good? It's good, but nobody cares. Children don't care about your words. They care about your actions. So you can't tell a child to eat healthy when you yourself are eating every unhealthy thing under the sun. You can't have a child follow a plan of, I get up at this time every day, I eat lunch at this time every day, I do my work, and I go to bed at this time every day. You can't teach structure if you are not a structured adult. It's never going to work. You go first. You have to be the role model. Number 2, again, know the difference between enabling and empowering. Enabling, cross that off your list. That should never happen again. Always put somebody in the position that they can succeed and help them and support them and guide them and teach them to do it for themselves and to do it well. And if you're a good teacher, they're going to do it better than you do. That's what a good teacher is. They teach people to eventually surpass where they are. And number 3, we do this through strict, consistent rules and goals and boundaries with rewards and punishments. Again, going back to Lily, there are certain rules. We're going to go on a 3-mile walk. That's what we do. The goal is we're going to do this in a certain amount of time, and we have boundaries. You can't be going left and right, left and right. You can't be running after a car. We're going to go straight, we're going to go straight through. will take some time to smell some flowers here and there, and that's part of her reward. Our punishment is nothing big. Our punishment is we just stop for a while. We gather ourselves, and then we continue to walk again. And trust me, when she gets home, she gets all the water she wants, she gets all the treats that she likes, and then that's part of her rewards as well. And part of the reward is again, that she's a very confident dog who knows her place. She knows she can run up, she can run down, and she's supported. Think about it in terms of children. Do they feel supported? I can tell you right now, if your kid has anxiety and they're always saying things, I don't want to try that, I'm afraid to do that, I'm afraid to fail, I'm going to do things halfway because I might not be good, so I'm going to on purpose be bad, that means they don't feel supported whatsoever. They didn't come into this world like this. As adults, we have to take control of that. That's part of our problem. We're the one who caused that. And if you're dealing with an adult, it's time to stop enabling them. We need to, again, support and encourage them to do the things for themselves that they know that they can do. Stop doing other people's work. I hope you found today's show valuable. And Lily is not barking through the door like she usually does, so because she's learned how to be a very disciplined pug. Thanks for listening. I'm Joe Peroni. This is the Rise Above Project. Please subscribe and tell a friend. Thank you.